Hey guys, Zomfox here, and today it's time to talk about 3 questions the UFL still has to answer after the 2024 NFL season kicked off. That's right, if you're watching this day this video came out, yesterday on September 5th, the 2024 NFL season officially had their kickoff game between the Ravens and Chiefs, and now it is time to ask 3 very important questions about the UFL's upcoming 2025 season that still need to be answered and need to be answered sooner rather than later. Now, some of you may be asking exactly why they need to be answered now. Well, the fact is we are in football season. College football is going on, the NFL is going on, and that's where you have all the football fans. And you need to have these big questions about spring football answered now so those football fans will have some sort of idea of what's coming in spring. And there is 3 massive questions. Now, the first one is going to be the Showboats head coach and GM situation. The Showboats, it's been like a full month at this point, and they still have not gotten a new GM or head coach. It has been over a month since their GM, Dennis Polian, stepped down, and it's been really close. We're about like 2 days away from being a month since head coach John DeFilippo stepped down. The Showboats are not able to make moves like other teams are. Now, while you may be saying, hey, they've re-signed some players, the way those re-signing work are not really done by a GM. It's just kind of the league itself. But the team has not been able to make actual free agent signings that other teams have been able to. Like when the Panthers did sign Keontae Schott after he was released, he was able to sign with Michigan because Michigan has a GM to sign players. We saw the Roughnecks have a GM leave and then be hired like that compared to this, and it's getting to a point where it's getting really unfair. Isaiah Henney talked about it on Twitter. James Larson said that he agrees, and it's true. We should not be a month out of this whole thing happening where both of them step down and we still don't have either a head coach or a GM. Jaron Horton has all but said explicitly, give me the head coaching job. We've had rumors about, hey, are they going to give Anthony Blevins a shot at head coach since he lost his chance with the Vipers? There's guys to replace the head coach, and if you're not going to get a GM, at least get a head coach like the 2022 USFL did. But we'll see. This is still a massive question mark, and again, it's hurting the Showboats as a franchise. The Showboats need to be better next year to help that attendance in Memphis get better from being that abysmal number it was last year. And if the team's not able to actually sign talent, sign players, then what's the point of, them even playing next year? I mean, they have literally nothing going on for them right now that's good. The fact is their team was terrible last year, and now they have no head coach and no GM to make these moves. And it's getting to a point where slowly but surely it's going to get worse and worse for them. All of these big free agents that they could be signing that are from like the Roughnecks, they're missing out on potentially because they don't have a GM. And if you're going to have to just, scrap for seconds to make a roster, yes, it could work. I mean, the 2023 Showboats were a decent defense despite talent-wise being one of the most least talented defenses in the USFL. So it can work, and it's worked for this team before. But with the UFL, with the insane amount of spring football talent it has, they need to get this fixed, and now the UFL is really lacking on this one. Now, the next one is going to be the UFL season start date. Now, we did just get some news about the Defender season tickets, where it says that later this month they're going to announce the spring football's footprint of the schedule, and then later in the fall, the home and away opponents for the Defenders. Now, what that spring football schedule footprint is, I'm assuming, is just the start and end of the season, because this is a massive question a lot of people still have. There are still people who want them to go back to the XFL or USFL start dates of right after the Super Bowl or early April. I'm in the boat that says the late March start time is a really good one. There's some people who want the early March start time. Essentially, there's mainly three. The USFL start time is just not happening, especially with how much the heat issues happen and all that. But there's still 3 legit start times they could do for the season. They need to pick one of them and do it sooner than later. Look, the biggest issue that the USFL, XFL, and even UFL now have all had is that their schedules come out way too late. The fact is you need to have a schedule out like at least 4 months in advance, especially when you compare what these past couple of years has been. So if the schedule ends up starting in February, that means that you have a very short amount of time to get a schedule out. If it's early March, you have a little bit more time, but still not a ton, and then late March is the best in terms of getting it out. But these are still massive questions that need to be answered. When is the season going to start? Is it right after the Super Bowl? Is it going to be a few weeks after the Super Bowl, or is it going to be a full month and a half after the Super Bowl? We need to know this answer. We need to know it, and it's good that the UFL is going to be telling us that within the next couple of weeks. But we'll have to see what it is and when it comes out. We'll see. Now, the last question is arguably the biggest one, aside from the Showboats. Well, I mean, there's only 3 questions, but the Panthers and Roughnecks, we still don't know where they're playing in 2025. From everything that I've heard and that we've seen on X, there's been really nothing that's happened, which sadly is something we've heard before. But the Panthers and Roughnecks, who both already had issues with their stadiums last year, have issues again. Is Michigan returning to Ford Field? Apparently the contract did fully expire, and now they're debating if they're going to go back or if they're going to go to another stadium. There's been talks about, the Big House, going to EMU and all that. And then the Roughnecks, it seems like they want to go back to TDECU. They see that Rice is just a massive downgrade from TDECU, and they only left TDECU because of renovations. So hopefully they go back to TDECU, but the Panthers are a bit weirder. The Panthers have the issue of Ford Field being a very expensive venue, and the fact is that they've had a lot of issues with it. The ticket issues last year, not being able to have a playoff game if the Panthers had made, the 1 seed in the USFL conference. Issues like that are bad, but overall I think Ford Field is still the best place they can play. It's a dome stadium. I know EMU is not terrible, but overall I think Ford Field is the best, and hopefully they stay there, but we'll have to see. And then again, for the Roughnecks, a lot of people like me are going to hope they go back to TDECU. That'll help their attendance go up from that awful number it was last year. But we'll see. And again, this is an issue that we hate to say it, but it's happening again. These same 2 teams were the 2 teams that had stadium issues heading into the 2024 UFL season. They didn't get addressed till very late, and that made ticket sales come out later than every other team, despite ticket sales already coming out really late. So if this happens again, that would be horrific for the league and mainly those 2 markets. So they need to get up on this and get this stuff hammered out and done now instead of waiting till a month or 2 before the season, which is what happened. Remember, we had heard, the Roughnecks are going to Rice. It's all but a done deal, and it took months before it became official. So we can't have those things happen, but we'll see. So overall, that'll do it. This has been Zom Fox. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified as soon as I upload any videos. Like I've talked about, I'm planning on doing a weekly spring football video on the players in the NFL from spring football. Mainly the UFL and the USFL and, the 3.0 XFL, but I might do some AF and XFL stuff. We'll see. But I plan on talking about these, UFL, USFL, XFL players in the NFL at least every 2 weeks, but probably every week. Going to try to keep this, every 3-day content stuff, but it might become just a twice a week, a 3-day, then a 4-day break kind of thing, which is still my best I've done in the off-season before. Again, we are on the way to 900 subscribers. I am doing a giveaway at 1,000, so make sure you subscribe to the channel for that. And as always, guys, have a great night.